Time for the Ned Rig Masterclass. I love it because when I know I tie one on, I'm gonna catch a fish. And when it comes to Ned fishing, the Z-Man TRD is the one that I recommend the most. The reason for that being is that if you look, one, these baits are super stretchy and really won't tear on you, but also the plastic that they use to make these TRDs floats really well. And there's a super easy test you can do at home to check if the Ned baits or the baits that you want to use on a Ned rig will work. We're gonna take a glass of water and then simply, we're just gonna take our Ned bait and drop it in there. The most critical part of any bait that you put on a Ned rig is its ability to stand straight up in the water just like this. This is what makes a Ned rig so deadly when we're bass fishing. Another great option that I like is the Missile Baits Ned Bomb. Again, just like the Z-Man, the Ned Bomb sits straight up. However, this flat little tail kind of emulates the bait fish a little better, and when it hops, it kind of flicks. Now I'm gonna get some questions about this. Can you use a Senko that you cut in half, or like a 3-inch Senko like this one? The only issue with the Gary Yamamoto Senkos is that they have a high salt content, so you can see it's trying to fall over in the glass. It just won't go all the way down because of the glass. When it comes to the jig heads for the Ned rig, I will always recommend to go as light as possible. 1/32 ounce, 1/64 ounce, a 1/16 ounce jig head, something small like this. However, if you're fishing in river or in current or deeper water, you can go up to like a 1/8 or a 1/4 ounce jig head like this one. The reason that you want to go as light as possible that you can go to for your body of water is that this is a finesse technique and to kind of make sure that your jig head has a very nice slow fall as well. As much as it's important to have that Ned sticking straight up on the bottom, when you hop it or when you cast it out, that first initial falling movement can get a lot of bites. But if your jig head is too heavy and that Ned is just falling straight down, you're losing out on opportunities to catch fish. And if you're going to be using the Z-Man TRDs for your Ned rigs, even before you put it on the jig head, what I do recommend is really stretching it out once. What that does is releases a little bit of the salt that's in that plastic, but also makes them float a little better. Now, how do we fish the Ned to catch more fish? Because of how light this rig is in total, it's generally going to be a finesse technique fished on spinning gear, and you want to be casting this anywhere that you think there's fish, right? So you're going to cast this out, and on a lighter jig head, it's going to spiral down to the bottom, so watch your line because you may get hit on the fall. Then once your jig head is on the bottom, you have a few different options. If the fish are kind of active and ready to eat, then you want to either hop and drag it so that bait is going to go up and then glide out and just repeat that. You can also do small little hops so that this bait is just hopping on the bottom. You can also just straight retrieve it really slowly on the bottom so it looks like a little bait fish just cruising the bottom of your pond. And if the fish aren't too active or you really need to catch a bass no matter what, the reason why it's so important to make sure your Ned baits float like this is that you're going to cast it out and just dead stick it. That means just leaving it and sitting there for 10, 20, 30 seconds. And if a bass comes by and just sees it there slowly wavering in the water, it may just pick it up. So what are you waiting for? Get out there.